Hello everyone, Pallytime here. Welcome back to Heroes of the Storm. I remember a time, way back in the day, before Rhaegar was added to the game, where we used to see Malfurion in nearly every game. The only other two real viable supports at the time were Brightwing, depending on the patch, depending on how strong Illidan was, we already discussed that, and Uther. Malfurion was everywhere. And it's so weird to think that over the past year and a half or so, he's kind of been pushed further and further out of the spotlight. Well, there's a new patch today. Actually, it's yesterday. I'm recording this Wednesday morning. There's a new patch that may just bring him back. They streamlined a lot of his talents. They incorporated some of the talents that people were picking that were deemed as mandatory. They incorporated them into his base kit, which should make him a lot better, and they changed how Innervate works. So I'm pretty excited for the new Malfurion. Just so happens that we landed upon him right as his changes were kind of going through, and we have Nazebo to look forward to as well, who just got a very big makeover. All right, let's jump into a game. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves in the Towers of Doom today. The friendly team, Jim Laner, Gizlo, Gul'dan, Nova, and Malfurion. The enemy team, Zagara, Ariel, Malfurion, the Butcher, and Nova. Now, they have two supports, so they're inherently going to have more sustain than us, but I'm going to try to do my best to keep my team alive. Now, at level 1, I am going to go for Shandu's Clarity, or Shandow's Clarity, however you want to pronounce that. And what it's going to do is it's going to reduce the cooldown of Innervate by 10 seconds, taking it from a 30-second cooldown down to a 20-second cooldown, because that's how math works. Now, the cool thing about Innervate now is when we put Innervate on a target, it will cut their ability cooldowns in half. They will recharge 50% faster, which is actually incredible. We also have some really good synergy with Gul'dan because, of course, Gul'dan has to life tap in order to get his mana back in general. We can just become a mana battery for him and return that mana really, really easy. There's also some really good other changes to our favorite druid in the roots department. Really, this patch did wonders for Malfurion as far as I'm concerned. His roots it's a Z ability, it's a skill shot. It has the initial impact radius, and then after that impact, the roots then expand from that central point kind of outwards, as you may have just seen there. And the issue was there is a pretty hefty delay on this process. So the roots would go out, and there would be a 0.5 second, half a second delay in the very center of the circle before anything happened at all. And in this new patch, we have a 0.25 second delay. So it's not instant, and some people will be able to slip right out of your grasp. But for the most part, the roots are good, man. The roots are fucking real again. You know what I'm saying? The first objective on the map is up, and we are slightly behind the enemy team. I'm not too worried about that, though. We should be able to come back here. His Q ability is Regrowth, and this is what we are going to use to keep our allies alive. Now, I mentioned in the past that I used to be a World of Warcraft raid healer. I played a Resto Shaman for a very, very long time, so I'm used to kind of playing whack-a-mole when it comes to looking at health bars and keeping a person alive. But one thing I really like about Malfurion's healing in Heroes is the simple fact that oh my god, those roots were so good, is the simple fact that his heals are actually not instant. And this requires him to have a totally different play style than pretty much every other healer in the game. Because you kind of have to anticipate damage coming out from the enemy team and react to it the instant that it is happening. You kind of see this with Lieutenant Morales as well, so I mean, it's not a totally new concept. Well, he did it first, actually, so maybe it was a totally new concept. But the idea is that you want to react right away, because the initial impact of the heal is actually not that big of a deal. We just increased the initial heal amount by 40% with rampant growth at level 4. But aside from that, I mean, you're kind of showering leaves onto someone and kind of praying that they work. So it requires a very fast reaction time at the moment of impact of the damage, rather than, you know, a character like Uther, where you would be sitting around waiting for their health to get low enough that you can actually heal and get your full value out of that heal. His W ability is Moonfire, and it has basically no cooldown, and I should be using it a lot more. We could probably out-sustain this Zagara, actually. Look at this. This is not going bad, team. This is not going bad, team. I think we're actually winning this. I think we're actually winning this. You better run. You better run. I'm Malfurion. Now, that reminded me of back in the day. I used to be a Zeratul main. Zeratul and Stitches, man, in basically every single game. And there was no fucking feasible way that a Zeratul could ever, under any circumstances, actually kill a Malfurion. Do I have it? Oh. I was so cocky, though. I believed in what I was doing. There was no way a Zeratul could kill a Malfurion. Malfurion used to have Conjurer's Pursuit because it was a generic talent that basically every healer had. And there was basically no way ever that you could possibly run a Malfurion out of mana back in the day. He was actually insane. Now, at this level range, we can assume that the Butcher is going to take Lamb, right? Do we want to go for Cleanse? I think we want to go for Cleanse. And we can get our friendly targets out of roots if they actually decide to move. Unlike that Gul'dan, who I did cleanse. I did it, team. I did it. We do need to interrupt this Malfurion. Hopefully Nova has it. It looks like she does. Very nicely done. Let's keep this Gem Rainer up. We can restore a little bit of that Nova's mana to her, but unfortunately I did not know the Butcher was in the bush near. Now we could say that entire altercation went south because I died immediately before it and I wasn't there with my team. So that was my fault because I was cocky and I thought I could solo a Zagara. So we won't be making that mistake again because that was definitely a pretty big misplay. Let's see. I mean, there haven't really been major changes to Furion. Other than his... I think the final nail in the coffin when he finally went, like, out of the spotlight. I mean, the hero roster was definitely growing by leaps and bounds. There were more supports, there was more options, there was more ways to support than ever before. And I think the final nail in the coffin for Gem Rainer ran into more damage there. The final nail in the coffin was simply when he lost all of his mana. He was no longer viable. When he couldn't keep up in heals, it was number one, it was hard to keep up with just pure healing output with your allies sometimes. And number two, when you would run out of mana just trying to do simple things that Malfurion does, because you didn't have Conjurer's Pursuit any longer, it became even more difficult to play the hero. Now, we do have some mana reductions coming out for regrowth. It is significantly easier to use and significantly easier to weave in the middle of team fights. Now, I don't think any of his other... I don't think any of his other abilities received any types of changes to their mana cost, but it is important to mention that regen globes not very long ago did have a significant increase in the amount of mana that they return. So this means that even though Malfurion didn't have any of his mana values adjusted other than regrowth, this does mean that all of a sudden he is significantly more mana efficient just because everyone in the game is significantly more mana efficient, which does make him feel really, really good. Around the same time that Lily got her water dragon changes, Malfurion also received the same changes to Twilight Dream, making it significantly easier to pick that talent and completely nuke an enemy team in the process. I would love to get in here and heal these guys, but I feel like they're running away from me. Basically, it doubled the damage on Twilight Dream. So you could take that silence and you could walk into a team fight and it would be like a bomb going off around you and you would silence everyone. Now, the problem is Malfurion only has one heal other than Tranquility, which I just used in that team fight to keep my teammates alive. And Tranquility is kind of his best thing, or at least prior to this patch, it was his best thing. So you were sacrificing the best ability in his kit in an effort to just increase your damage, which to me doesn't seem worth it at all. Now, Tranquility is actually really interesting. It's basically a buff. It's not a channeled ability like Lily's Jug of 1000 fuck yous. You turn it on and then it is there, and it does not go away until the duration is complete. So you can get a ton of healing out with Tranquility. And as you saw there, I mean, the Butcher earlier, the Butcher charged me mid-Tranquility and it did not interrupt me because it's not a channeled ability, it's just a buff. And it's interesting to note that because Lily cannot cast any of her other abilities while she is channeling the Jug of 1000 Cups, but Malfurion can. So while you're also doing this massive amount of AoE healing around you, you can then still prioritize a single target with your regrowth or help secure kills with roots or any type of thing like that. Very versatile healer as far as I'm concerned. We are going to have to go ahead and use this now. I should have cleansed Gul'dan earlier, and Gul'dan would have gotten out of there. That was a mistake on my part. And unfortunately, the enemy team engaged so hard. Well, damn. They engaged so hard and at the right time as well. Now, luckily, they are all up top, so Nova could just kind of rotate down there and grab that. Never mind, the Butcher is roaming as well, so she might be able to interrupt him. I don't really know. Again, I want to just stress that I am not a very good support player. I am trying. I am giving this my full attention, kind of the same way as Lieutenant Morales. Just because I'm here playing the character and I'm able to talk about the character doesn't necessarily mean she's a character I'm very good at. Just like Malfurion. I like Malfurion. I've often said that I want to learn how to play him more and I want to get better at him, but I am going to definitely make mistakes like the cleanse that we just saw. I'm out of that, right? And then we can drop the roots right underneath us. Uh-oh. Couldn't save our Nova, though. Gravitron Bomb goes out. Let's see if we can make anything happen with it. Unfortunately not, because Ariel has AoE heals and she's a cheater. She's cheating. I don't think the Butcher can really roam in here. We're just going to make sure that we're using regrowth every time it is off cooldown. We could go for Life Seed here, or I think what would be a better idea to counter the Butcher is actually going to be Ice Block. Ice Block is simply going to allow us to, when we see the Butcher charging in, we can just Ice Block and cancel that charge immediately if we react fast enough. I would typically go for Life Seed here just because that is a free heal that is incredibly mana efficient. But as I've been speaking throughout this whole game, I mean, really, you could tell that we really don't have very many mana problems anymore as long as we are going after these regen globes. Now, the team is all back up now. Looks like we're going to be trading mercenary camps with the enemy team. Now, I could have rooted the Butcher inside of that stun of Gazlo's if I reacted a little bit faster, but I did not. Let's check to see if I can cleanse that lamb to the slaughter. I really don't know if I can. It's a silence, but it's a silence holding your character. It should break him out. I mean, cleanse makes you unstoppable, right? I need to heal this guy. I'm so sorry. Here you go. Stay back. No, don't leave. Push. Don't leave. Please don't leave. Come back. Okay, well, everybody. Well, half the team left. Not everybody. Let's not be overly negative. Gazlo and Jim Raynor, they're on top of things. They're doing the right thing, and that's good. We need to finish off this building before we rotate, and we need to rotate soon. There we go. Perfect. Let's go ahead and give a little bit more mana back to our Gazlo friend and work our way up to the top lane. I've been getting a little bit of hate over the last few videos because I haven't been very good with the characters in those videos. So Lunara, like, people are surprised that I'm not good at Lunara for some reason. I'm not doing this series to try to show how good I am with so many heroes in the roster, because I don't give a shit about that. I don't give a shit about that at all. I'm doing this series because I think it's interesting to take a snapshot of how the game is right now and look back on how the game used to be and continue to do this in yearly intervals. Because we're getting patches and changes every 3 weeks at this point. Like significant patches and changes every 3 weeks. And the game is constantly evolving. And I think it's a very fascinating process, actually. I think it's been very interesting. We're going to go for boss now, which is super risky. I'm going to try to tank this. And this guy has a frontal cone AoE, so we want to turn him around. I don't want to pop Trank. I really don't. I don't think we're going to have to. I think we got it. So we managed to sneak boss while the enemy team was all down in the bottom lane, clearing out that... Okay, here we go. Cleanse. Hey, cleanse works! Clearing out that building that we took over prior to the shrine. So that was a fantastic play for us. Let us go with... As far as I can tell, we have two options. We have Hardened Focus at this level, or we have Tenacious Roots. I, in the past, have been a really big fan of Tenacious Roots. Oh, we just lost our building. But considering I'm the only healer, and it is going to be my task to keep everyone alive here, we want to go with Hardened Focus, I think. As long as we're above 80% health, which is not going to be too hard. I mean, we're not now, but... Uh-oh. Uh-oh, team. Now we can go ahead and ice block here, and Trank will continue to heal us. But unfortunately, they actually zeroed in on me quite well there. Gazlo currently pushing the top lane right now. Hopefully he gets it. Shrines are going to be active before I'm back up. So yet again, another untimely death, unfortunately. It is important to mention with Innervate, it only reduces the basic cooldowns of targets that we can give mana to. So it's not going to be reducing the cooldowns on their heroic abilities. It's not going to be... it's also not going to be useful to any characters like Illidan. Could you imagine Illidan with half of his cooldowns? Because I don't think I want to imagine an Illidan with half of his cooldowns. Now that, unfortunately, looks like it was very painful. But a really good Gravitron Bomb might actually... Nope. No, sorry, team. We just need to retake this. We need to cut our losses. We are going to take 5 more damage, which is going to bring us down to 7, which feels bad, man. But I'm pretty happy with my healing amount. I think I'm keeping pace with the 2 healers on the enemy team just fine. I'm definitely making mistakes that I can make adjustments to, but I'm trying. They're moving in to take middle now. I mean, do we really think we can defend middle? I don't. That's why I wanted to take bottom. We're going to be significantly behind at this point now. Jim Raynor basically doing nothing, standing around doing nothing when he could have been helping me take bottom. So I'm going to ping this some more and hope that he follows, because the enemy team, of course, will be rotating up to the top lane very, very shortly. Jim Raynor now coming to me. Please? I thought he was. He fucking teased me. We have these guys here. I'm going to go ahead and put roots on top of them and just stand here. We do not want these mercenaries getting into our core, because that is damage we do not need to take. And we do have to clear this building very, very quickly now if we want to stay in this game. This has become pretty dangerous. The enemy team is pushing top right now, so if we lose this building, we're going to start to take core damage. And, all right, looks like we're going to stay in a little bit longer. We need to rotate middle now and retake that. The best news for us here is that the enemy team cannot take boss because we got it earlier. So they are level 20 now. Their best bet would be to try to confront us here. But we should have plenty of places to run. So there we go. Ice block to stop the Butcher's charge. And then we just... unfortunately, Nova was crazy out of position. I tried to help, but she was just a little bit too far. Let's go ahead and try to root these guys. The fear does take the Butcher out of my roots. Let's try to give a little bit more mana back to our Gul'dan. Oh, thank God for that Ariel knockback. Actually saved me there. The shrines are becoming active, but the enemy team is going to be fighting underneath our tower very soon, which obviously is a pretty big advantage to us if they stay. Now, if they take over one of these shrines, we are going to take 5 damage, but we could still come back from 5 damage. That wouldn't necessarily be the end of the world. The Butcher trying to run away. We want to cleanse and heal and do anything, but I don't think I can. And the enemy team is going to get both shrines by the looks of things. They're going to get both shrines. Oh, it's going to be the end of the game, unfortunately. So it looks as though the future for Malfurion is actually looking pretty bright. I think we're going to start to see him again. I think he's going to combo just exceptionally well with Jaina Proudmoore, Azmodan, He could allow Ariel to generate more energy and heal for more if you wanted to do some more double support comps. I actually think this was a great example that the enemy team had here. His potential to be able to reduce cooldowns just opens up a whole new world of synergy that Malfurion can be added into. And we're just on the precipice of this. We're just starting to see the potential here because the patch is so brand new, and I think that is very, very exciting. There's one thing I could say about the Heroes of the Storm team. They're doing a great job of making real meaningful changes every single patch. And even if you don't play Malfurion, even if Furion is not a character that you have any interest in, the fact that he has changed completely mixes up the entire meta of the game. It completely shakes everything. Again, even if he's not a character that you play, he can completely influence how drafts play out. So when there's a really big patch like this, when there's some significant changes coming out like this, it's always an exciting time to return to the game. We also have Nazebo reworks and the worst character ever, Zarya, being added to the game. But the talents I went for today was Shando's Clarity, Rampant Growth, Cleanse, Tranquility, Ice Block, Harden Focus, and at level 20, let me make sure you can see this. No, you can't. At level 20, I'm actually a really big fan of Storm Shield. And the reason for that is that your heals on Malfurion are very, very slow. Storm Shield basically gives you a buffer. So while Tranquility is going out and healing everyone around you, that Storm Shield will kind of lock their HP where it is and allow your heals over time to kind of ramp up and actually return more health to a target while the shield is active. Always been a really big fan of that. And I've always said I wanted to learn how to play Furion and get good at him. So I think now's the time, actually. I think now's a really good time. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Up next, we are going to have... Oh, right. I already recorded some. I got really confused there for a second because I've already recorded Medivh and Muradin. I already did that because I wanted to wait for these patch changes. So up next, we're going to have Medivh and not Murky. Why would we do that? Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.